On June 20, 1994, New Zealand was rocked by a tragic event that would go down in history as one of the country's most enigmatic and notorious crimes. David Bain, then a 22-year-old university dropout, called 111 to report that he had found his entire family murdered in their home in the small town of Dunedin. His parents, Robin and Margaret Bain, his sisters Arawa and Laniet, and his younger brother Stephen, had all been shot dead in their sleep. Initially, David was seen as the sole survivor of a brutal and senseless attack. However, as the police investigation unfolded, suspicions began to emerge that David was not the innocent victim he claimed to be. The prosecution would later argue that David, driven by a combination of family tensions and financial pressures, had killed his entire family before staging the crime scene to make it look like a murder-suicide carried out by his father. The trial was one of the most high-profile in New Zealand's history, lasting 3 months and attracting intense media scrutiny. In 1995, David Bain was found guilty of all 5 murders and sentenced to life imprisonment. However, he continued to maintain his innocence, and his case became a cause célèbre for many who believed that he had been wrongly convicted. In 2007, after a decade of legal battles, a retrial was ordered, and David Bain was ultimately acquitted on all charges. The prosecution's case was heavily criticized, with forensic evidence called into question. However, the case remains controversial to this day, with many still divided on whether David was a victim of a miscarriage of justice or a cold-blooded killer who got away with murder. One of the most puzzling aspects of the case is the motive. While the prosecution argued that David was under financial pressure and had a strained relationship with his father, many of his friends and supporters insisted that he was a kind and gentle person who would never have committed such a heinous crime. The Bain family was also known to be deeply religious and tightly knit, making it difficult to understand why one of their own would have turned on them so violently. The crime scene itself was also highly unusual, with many of the bodies found in bizarre and contorted positions. Some have suggested that this is evidence of a struggle or an attempt to stage the scene, while others believe that it is simply a result of the chaotic and violent nature of the crime. Despite the acquittal, the Bain family murders remain one of New Zealand's most haunting unsolved crimes. The tragedy of a family torn apart by violence and the lingering uncertainty over who was responsible have left a lasting impact on the country's psyche. The case raises important questions about the reliability of forensic evidence, the challenges of investigating complex and mysterious crimes, and the ethical and moral considerations involved in cases where the stakes are so high. The fact that the case remains so controversial and divisive more than 2 decades later is a testament to the enduring power of this tragic and puzzling story. In the spring of 1922, a small Bavarian village called Hinterkaifeck was gripped with fear and horror when the Gruber family and their maid were found brutally murdered on their farm. The crime scene was particularly gruesome, with each victim suffering from blunt force trauma to the head. The case has remained unsolved for over a century and has become one of the most perplexing mysteries in German history. Andreas Gruber, born in 1875, was a farmer who spent his entire life living and working on his family's farm in Hinterkaifeck. In 1914, he married his wife, Cecilia, and together they had 2 children, Victoria and Joseph. Andreas was known to be a strict and reclusive man, and Cecilia was deeply religious. Victoria, on the other hand, was rumored to have had an incestuous relationship with her father and was often seen wandering the village alone. On the morning of April 1922, a neighbor by the name of Michael Pohl went to the Gruber farm to inquire about the family's whereabouts as they had not been seen for a few days. He made a chilling discovery. The entire family and their maid, Maria Baumgartner, were all dead. The murderer had lured each victim to the barn one by one, using a mattock to bludgeon them to death. The baby, Joseph, was found in his crib with fatal injuries. The maid, Maria Baumgartner, was found dead in her bed with similar injuries to the other victims, indicating that she was likely surprised and attacked in the house. During the investigation, strange details emerged that only added to the horror of the crime. A set of footprints was found leading to the farm, but none leading away from it, suggesting that the killer had approached on foot but had not left the same way. Additionally, about a month before the murders, the former family maid, Crescent's Regia, had reported hearing strange noises coming from the attic and even discovered a newspaper that did not belong to anyone in the family. The police were baffled by the murders and struggled to find any leads. Several suspects were investigated, including a former lover of Victoria's and a local man who had been seen around the farm in the days leading up to the murders. However, none of them were ever charged with the crime. The Hinterkaifeck Murders have since become one of Germany's most notorious unsolved crimes. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged, ranging from a family member committing the murders to National Socialist soldiers being involved. However, none of these theories have been proven, and the case remains unsolved. The Hinterkaifeck Murders have haunted Germany for over a century, and it is unlikely that the truth behind this horrific crime will ever be uncovered. The Gruber family and their maid met their untimely deaths in one of the most gruesome ways imaginable, and the lack of resolution only adds to the tragedy. The case serves as a reminder that sometimes, even the most heinous crimes can go unsolved, leaving only questions and pain in their wake. The Woodleys were a seemingly ordinary family living in Cypress, Texas. They had been happily married for many years, and with 4 children who were all well on their way to success, the Woodleys appeared to have everything going for them. They were financially comfortable and living in a comfortable suburban home. However, their lives were suddenly shattered on the evening of September 6, 1991. In just a matter of minutes, a mysterious person entered their home and murdered 3 members of the family, Father Barry and his 2 sons, 23-year-old Gregory and 15-year-old Jeremy. The surviving family members reported that the killer was a teenager named Shelby, who had responded to their advertisement on Craigslist in the Houston Chronicle to buy their piano. The murders were carried out in a brief window of just 10 minutes. And the 2 boys were tied together with nylon straps before being shot multiple times. The brutality of the murders has led some to believe that it was a professional hit. The Woodleys' tragedy serves as a stark reminder that violence can strike anyone, anywhere, at any time. If you found this video informative and thought-provoking, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. Your support helps me to bring you more informative content like this in the future. Thank you for watching.